Dr. Attiga, thank you so much for being here. This is very important for our viewers because we want to get an insight on where some of that money is going and why. So what does this report tell us about where some of that investment is set to take place?
Thank you very much, Dan, for having me. APICORP, we issue our outlook for the investments in the energy sector in the MENA region every year. We are seeing growth in the total amount of investments that's going in the energy sector. We are seeing the power sector in particular taking about a third of that amount. And within that portion, we have the renewable energy as a sector that's really increasing in the region as far as committed and planned investments in both oil exporting countries and oil importing countries in this region.
The other interesting takeaway is that Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Kuwait are going to make up the bulk of that investment. Are you seeing that these are government-led projects, or is the onus of responsibility more so on the private sector now?
Another very important feature that we are witnessing in the region is the role of the private sector in financing these investments. This has not been the case in the energy sector, particularly in the oil and gas sector. However, we are seeing the trend considerably increasing. In the last year, for example, almost 22% of the new investments are going to non-government type projects. Through different means, public-private partnership financing. We have seen some of the larger NOCs in the region, ADWOC and ADNOC, issuing bonds. We have seen commercial financing also coming to these investments. So it's no longer the governments that's shouldering the bulk of these investments, but rather an increase in the role of the private sector. And we think this is a very good development.
Where do you see the trend going? Because I assume the bulk of this investment is still happening in the oil and petrochemical sector. Are there any new sectors that are emerging as areas of interest?
Of the 1 trillion, probably 350 billion is still going into the oil sector. The hydrocarbon sector will remain an important one. However, as I said, the power sector is really showing tremendous growth. Again, this is a direct outcome of the countries of the region diversifying their energy mix and also trying to rely on renewables as a major source of energy. So we are seeing the trend going in that direction, but I think the region will continue to rely on the hydrocarbon sector.
And this $1 trillion figure, does it also factor in the increase in oil prices that we've seen throughout the course of this year? Of course, crude coming out of that slump that we saw in Q4, prices have escalated over the past few months. Is that also being factored in?
There is a correlation, definitely. The oil prices have been stable in a sense. I mean, let's see how the geopolitical developments will affect the prices in this coming few weeks and in the summer in particular. However, there is a correlation, but I think that most of the countries of the region are determined now to implement an energy transition regardless of the volatility of the oil prices.